Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, which means we have quarterback, kicker, and running back rankings coming at you so we can start to prepare you for Week 10 fantasy football. In today's video, we are going over the top 36 options at running back, and we're going to cover a few notable omissions as well. We're going to make sure you have the RB1, 2, and flex position knowledge that you need so that you can crush your opponents this weekend. If you have any start-sit questions as the week progresses, drop it down below. I would love to reach out and help you. If you are new to the channel, or if you haven't got to it yet, please like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate the support on my road to my first 100 subscribers. It helps me out a bunch, and it enables me to continue to do what I love so I can keep bringing you guys the content that you love. With all of that out of the way, let's get into Week 10's running back rankings. Starting off at number 1, it is Jonathan Taylor. He gets an awesome matchup with the Jags at home. Taylor went nuclear in primetime, and while I have some concern due to the way that Jacksonville showed up against the Bills, that offensive line in front of him doesn't let him get touched before he's 3 yards downfield. At least, this will be his 7th straight top 10 finish. Absolutely incredible. Dalvin Cook, going on the road to face the Chargers, is my number 2 player. Cook now has 2 finishes in the top 10 in his last 3 games, and he gets a Chargers defense that is allowing 27 points a game to the position. Sure, the Vikings are going to lose this game, but it will not be because of Cook. Najee Harris gets Detroit, and he rounds out my top 3. Harris may wear down eventually, but it's not going to be this week, and it certainly won't be against the Lions. He is locked to finish as a top 5 running back this week in a top 2 dream matchup. We move on to Nick Chubb, going on the road to Foxborough. In case anyone forgot, after a 2-week absence and a dud, Chubb is that guy. He made the Bengals look silly, and New England is likely to face the same fate. I'm not sure there's a Bill Belichick scheme that stops him, unless the Pats put 10 in the box. At 5, it is Christian McCaffrey on the road against Arizona. And while McCaffrey was definitely eased in last week, seeing for him a low workload in just 19 touches, I don't anticipate that to be the case here. I think he gets 20 plus, and he racked up 100 plus total yards last week, so we know he is matchup proof. We move on to Austin Eckler. He is our 6th ranked player at home against the Vikings, who just gave up 247 yards on the ground to the Ravens. Eckler is likely to feast with that. Owners are just hoping that his passing game increases after a couple games off. I bet it does. We move on to Alvin Kamara against Tennessee on the road. It is now 3 top 6 finishes in 4 games for Kamara, who is looking like he cannot be contained. I drop him a bit due to the bottom 8 matchup and the fact that Taysom Hill is likely to start in this one. That may sap some of his upside, but Alvin is still going to ball out. Ezekiel Elliott gets Atlanta at home, and he is our 8th ranked player. Like the entire Dallas Cowboys offense, sans Dak, he let down owners last week in an inexplicable loss to the Broncos. However, in this matchup with Atlanta, allowing 27 points a game to backs, he's going to have his silverware ready. We move to 9, and that is Aaron Jones at home against the Seahawks. Now, he does have 2 duds in his last 3 games, but it is not time for owners to panic. Aaron Rodgers should be back this week, which will be a huge boost to him. He also has healthy receivers supporting him now, so that will help as well. He will be fine and produce well. Rounding out our top 10 is Darrell Henderson Jr. on the road against the Niners. Henderson also has a couple duds in his last 3. We know that Titan one was all about game script, and he now gets a top 10 matchup against that Niners defense, so it is just what he needs to get right. Cordero Patterson visits the Cowboys on the road. He is our 11th ranked player. Is Cordero Patterson matchup proof? What universe are we living in? After demolishing the Saints and finishing as RB7 overall, all we can do is start the guy and watch in confusion and amazement. Our last RB1 in Week 10 is James Conner at home against the Carolina Panthers. We know that Chase Edmonds is out, so that means a heavy workload is incoming for Conner, who is already the RB8 of the season with 11 touchdowns in 9 games. While he did see 26 touches against San Francisco, I think with Kyler Murray back, it's going to be closer to 20 this week. That'll be plenty. Our lucky number 13 is Leonard Fournette on the road to face the football team. He has been lights out in his last 5 games with 77 carries, 346 yards, 15 catches, and 162 yards receiving in that span. Heck, the football team is not about to slow that down. At 14, it is DeAndre Swift going on the road to Heinz Field. Swift falls from RB1 territory with a bottom 5 matchup in addition to coming off a poor performance against Philly. But he still has to be locked into your lineups and could see extreme volume in the passing game. Next up is James Robinson on the road against the Colts. And last week, Jacksonville got the best of both worlds, being able to rest their stud running back while still stealing a win. Coming back, Robinson still sees a bottom 2 matchup, so we need to temper expectations in his return. As we move on, it's Josh Jacobs at home against Kansas City as my Sweet 16. Jacobs' streak of 3 straight touchdown games was broken last week, but he caught the most balls he has since week 5 and added 13 rushing attempts for 76 yards. That included his 3rd straight top 18 finish. He has upside for more against the Chiefs. Next up is Damian Harris at home against the Browns, and Harris finally slowed his roll in a tough matchup, but he managed to make it 5 straight games with a tutty. He's averaging 20 opportunities in his last 2 games, and he's about to see that again versus the Browns. Javonte Williams is our 18th ranked player. He is at home against Philadelphia. He now has 2 top 18 finishes in his last 3 games, and he averaged 6 yards a carry against Dallas. I think he scores against the Eagles and continues to tip the scales his way. We move on to Darrell Williams on the road against Las Vegas. With no new news of CEH's potential return, it looks like we're going to get at least one more start out of Darrell Williams. He's seen 41 touches in his last 2 games, and there's going to be plenty of scoring opportunities in this one. The last player in our top 20 is Melvin Gordon. Gordon has scored in 3 straight and has back-to-back top 10 finishes. The only thing I'm worried about with him, Javonte Williams had 3 less carries and over 30 yards more last week. It's only a matter of time. If I keep saying it, it's gonna work, right? At number 21, it is Elijah Mitchell at home against the Los Angeles Rams. Mitchell's passing game work greatly increased after seeing 4 targets in his entire season combined. He saw 5 last week. It could be the exact same game script against the Rams here. Myles Gaskin is at 22. He gets Baltimore at home, and he did not prove to us that he is a set-it-and-forget-it RB2 option. While he did score last week, he averaged just 1.7 yards per carry against one of the bottom DVOA teams in the entire league. The Dolphins don't have very many other options, so he'll continue to see work for now. Michael Carter gets Buffalo at home. He is next up at 23. And it's not that Carter fell back to earth, which was predictable. It's that he did so seeing just 2 targets after getting 23 in his last 2 games. I think it's going to be closer to 5 or more as the Jets play catch up with the Bills. The final RB2 that we have for you this week, at 24, it's J.D. McKissic at home against Tampa Bay. I prefer McKissic's pass catching ability in this matchup, and he's averaging over 12 points a game in his past 3. That number sounds about right, and he's got some touchdown upside as well. His teammate, Antonio Gibson, is up next at 25. Owners are hoping an extra week off will do wonders for Gibson, whose shin has been an issue all season. This matchup is not the bane that it once was, so there is some hope. Moving down the list, it's Devin Singletary on the road against the Jets. After seeing 8 targets last week, Singletary is the back to play in Buffalo for now. If he hits on this ranking, he'd make it 3 out of his last 4 with flex production. A big win for him. Next up, at 27, it is Devonta Freeman on the road against the Dolphins. With no word yet on Latavius Murray's status, I am assuming that this is once again a start for Freeman, who looked great against the Vikings and now sees a hapless Dolphins team. The man that they call all day is next. He gets a home matchup with the Saints. Peterson came right in on 6 days' notice and saw 11 touches and scored a touchdown to cement the Titans' victory on Sunday night. This is a brutal matchup, but that volume is only going to continue to grow. We move on to Zach Moss. He is our 29th player on the road against the Jets. This guy's now bit me in back-to-back weeks, but he's not going to do it again because this third time is an awesome matchup with the Jets. And maybe the Bills run it more than 12 times. Finishing off our top 30, Tony Pollard gets the Falcons at home. Pollard's usage as of late is concerning, with just 13 total touches in his last 2. I, however, cannot ignore this matchup with the Falcons, and Dallas may lean more heavily on the run after an embarrassment in Denver. Next up, it is A.J. Dillon at home against the Hawks. Dillon is averaging 14 touches a game in his last 2, and he continues to earn more with his stellar play. Whether Rodgers returns or not, and I think he will, Dillon is going to see volume to warrant flex consideration. 32nd player on our list is going to be Alex Collins on the road in that game. It should be one more week at least until Chris Carson returns, and Collins is seeing the lion's share of the carries in Seattle. The potential return of Russell Wilson certainly helps him out as well. Jordan Howard is our next player. He gets Denver on the road and is at 33. Howard now has 29 carries, 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games, so he is the preferred back to start in Philly. Denver has allowed over 70 points to backs in their last 2 games, so you like the matchup. His teammate, Boston Scott, is next, and after breaking out 2 weeks ago, Scott saw just 10 touches against the Chargers, but he seems to be the second option behind Jordan Howard right now. Next up, at 35, is Nyheim Hines at home against the Jags. Hines keeps sneaking in at the end of my rankings, and he made good on it last week with his best output of the year against the Jets, 13 touches for 108 yards. The final player that we have on our list at 36 is Kenyon Drake. He gets Kansas City at home. Drake has flourished in his new system since Gruden's absence. He has 27 touches in his last 2 weeks with 179 total yards and a tutty. As we get to notable omissions, the first notation I have for you guys is Dearness Johnson on the road against New England. Now, news of Nick Chubb's COVID issue broke after starting this video, so I do have Johnson ranked at number 18. He slides right in behind Damian Harris and is an absolute must-add off your waiver wire. The 2 that I am not considering startable are Jamal Williams on the road against Pittsburgh. It's a combined lack of productivity and a brutal matchup that equals a bench spot. Mike Davis is the other on the road against Dallas, and he has struggled mightily in 2 of his last 3. This is Patterson's backfield. And that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Please ask any start-sit questions down below or reach out to me on Sleeper. I'm available there as well. If you're enjoying the content, you're new or haven't done it yet, please like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate the support. It helps me out a ton on my road to my first 100 subscribers. This is Relentless Press. I am your host, Abriam Opats, and we'll see you next time.